how are you today? Lucia here from Laughing Without an Accent. Today I have a different video. It's a little chatty video that I wanted to talk to you guys about and give you a little bit of update of what's going on. Two things. So as you may know, I'm going to Argentina with my family December 15th, and one of the things that I haven't done a video, but I did put it on my community tab, is that I want to curate an Argentinian box. And I will leave the Google form down below if you're interested after I talk to you a little bit about it. I've been wanting to, I love the idea of curating my own box, but I know that having a subscription box business is a lot of work. So since I'm going there, I thought, why not I curate a limited edition with some 1 or 2 books in English, which it's actually showing to be quite a challenge, but we'll get there. And some like 7 to 10 items from Argentina, like the mate, some yerba, maybe a little thermos, and some snacks, some decor jewelry made by artisans there. And I think so far some people have signed up for it. But yeah, so that's the idea. I do want to update you on some thoughts that we've been having. And nothing is set on stone, but we might stay longer there. We are trying to decide if things are going to work out. If that's the case, I'm not charging anyone until I have the box. We know we're coming back and I have everything curated and stuff like that. So don't worry. If you want to sign up. You won't be charged yet. But yes, basically things where we're living sometimes get really complicated. There's a lot of drama, and that brings a lot of stress on my husband, who's studying full-time, and also to me, who is dealing with, having 3 kids and everything that I deal with. So actually it was my husband's idea to say, like, why don't we go to Argentina and we stay there longer? Because right now we don't have the possibility of moving out and renting something, even if I work full-time, which I am actually interviewing some companies to get full-time work remotely. But even if I work full-time in an office or remotely, it won't be enough to rent something here in Orange County. And maybe you say, like, why don't you move out of state? But I'm like, I'm not gonna move out of state yet. Like, that takes a lot of money, So that was one thing that came up, and I was like, okay, like, rent in Argentina could be cheap with the income, the little income we have. We could live there comfortably, but the country is kind of like in a financial crisis, and it's not super safe. So there's a lot of challenges. We also would have to find a good school. It is so challenging because we're like, okay, where do we want to live? Let's say we want to live here. Okay, let's find a school there, but then there's no apartments available to rent. And then we're like, okay, let's live here, but there's no good schools. It's like so complicated to kind of get everything in place. Like, we have to find an affordable place that is furnished, and then a school that is close by, that is good, that is maybe bilingual, and that it also will provide help for our kids, some of our kids that have special needs. I have a kid with autism and he needs some assistance. So it is super challenging. A lot of people I tell this about, they're like, yeah, you should totally go. Like, 1 year, the kids would come back, speaking Spanish, being bilingual. It would be a nice experience for them to see another culture, basically the culture I grew up in. Kind of realizing that not everyone has a million toys like them, or they don't have a car, like, they're so used to certain things that, like, I didn't have, growing up. So yeah, that's the idea. We might stay longer. So please be praying that if God wants us to go, that the doors open, because I don't want to force the issue or go with a little plan. I don't want to make the decision while we're there. At the same time, my husband's like, let's just go. When we go for a month, we'll explore. And I'm like, I don't want to explore. I want to enjoy my family. I don't want to add stress to the 1 month trip that is going to go really fast. Looking for a place if we're staying or not. That's going to come, it's going to bring a lot of stress to me, to my family. They just want to enjoy each other. So I kind of want to have an idea before we leave, but we leave in like 4 weeks. So yes, that is a lot to think about. There are some things that there's many pros and cons, like, school is a huge worry to me. Like, school has to be good. I don't want the kids to be really delayed. If they're going to go and learn a new language, I'm afraid they're not going to, fit in and stuff like that. But I've been hearing that kids are usually super adaptable when it comes like that. Then a place to live, there's, some challenge with living either close to my sisters or in their neighborhood, which is not super nice or safe. My husband doesn't feel safe there. And then the schools, they're not super close schools, so we have to take a bus or take a car to drop them off, and then take another car to pick them up. You know, that adds up in cost. Or live in a safer neighborhood that we like, but it's further from my sisters, so then it will also add up in cost. When we go visit them, we have to travel. It's like about maybe like 30 minutes by car. It's not that much. By bus, it's like 2 hours. So, but it's cheaper. So yeah, that is what we're going through right now, like thinking about it. And I want to kind of like keep you update you. Obviously, there are certain things that, one of the things that I think about is like, I won't be able to review boxes when I'm there. And I will contact some boxes from Argentina, you know, but most of my audience is in the US or English speaking countries. And I did contact a couple of book boxes, and they were like, okay, let us think about it. Like, they were kind of open to it. But, you know, I won't be able to do unboxings. I will not get Wantable, which I'm an ambassador and they gave me credit, and I get to, you know, keep clothes, which is really fun. And I won't be able to do a lot of the things, you know, and get some perks. Like Nadine West sends me free clothes too. So those are things that I think about. I'm like, oh, but at the same time, sometimes the living situation becomes pretty hard and unbearable. So we will gain certain peace. At the same time, it will be in another country, like not for me, but for my family, it will be like a different country. For me, it will also be like a different country in a way, because Argentina has changed a lot. It's not the same as when I left. And things are different. People are different. And financially, politically, there is a lot of poverty. Their inflation is huge. So people are like not, you know, in a happy mood all the time. And so it will be strange in a way. And it's not like you know, most of my friends, some of my friends are out of the country. Some friends are like working. They're all spread out. Obviously, I will try to meet with them, but it's not going to be like going back and like, oh, let's hang out every day. Like, I'll be not lonely, but I'll be alone a lot because my husband will be studying. The kids will be in school. So, but I'll have time to do other projects for sure. So yeah, that's what we're thinking. Obviously, the perks and stuff that I get here for free are not going to be the main factor, but it's something that I take into account. I'm like, I'll be losing those things that bring me joy. But yeah, I'll also be losing things that bring me the opposite. So that's one thing. And also what happened last Thursday, I don't know, today's Monday, but when I'm posting this, I don't know when I'm posting it. Today's Monday, 16th, I think. No, 15. Last Thursday, my husband ended up in the ER. It was one of the most scariest times of my life, you guys. He woke up. He usually sleeps in the day because he studies at night. He woke up and went to the restroom. And when he comes out, kind of half naked, without even pulling his pants up, which is very rare. Like, he would never do that on purpose. He usually is very, how do you call it? He has a lot of decorum. And he came out, and I'm like, what's going on? What happened? He sighed. It was like, ah, and he fell on the floor. And at first I thought he was playing. I'm like, what are you doing? But then I was like, no, his pants are down. Something's wrong. So I go to his side. I go, Brandon, what's happening? What's happening? And I start seeing blood coming out of his nose. And he was making this grunting noises, like, and I was like, I thought he's having a stroke. This is a stroke, and he's gonna die. And blood was coming out of his nose, you guys. It was terrifying. I started screaming for help. In-laws were in the room, and my phone was dead on top of it. I'm an idiot. But I didn't even have time to go for my phone. I just started screaming to call 911. And my in-laws come out. They're like freaking out. My father-in-law thought the Brandon was dead when he saw him there. And we called 911. Before the paramedics arrive, Brandon comes to his senses, and he's like, oh my gosh, what happened? I'm bleeding. And we're like, shh, don't move. We're trying to keep him not moving. He was like in a pool of blood. I was like freaking, obviously in my brain, in my head, I'm like, my husband's dying right here before my eyes. He's having a stroke. He may not come back. I just thought he had like something, the bleeding was coming from his brain, you know, from inside. And I was like, and me and my mother-in-law are praying, and we're just like, God, and all these thoughts come into my mind, like, I'm going to be here alone with my in-laws forever. The kids are too little to lose their, you know, all these thoughts are sometimes like, what, you're losing your husband. Yeah, I know. But there's like other thoughts that come to it too, you know. So not only losing him, it's just the aftermath as well. It would suck. We're like, we're so close to him finishing his major and getting out of here, and then he will die. I mean, it was like one of my fears, to be honest. Sometimes I tell him, like, it feels so impossible and so far away. And I feel like, what, right before you're finishing, I'm gonna die, or he's gonna die. I don't know why I get into these thoughts. But anyway, the paramedics arrive. They check for him. You know, he was like shaking. And the ambulance takes him. They stay for, I don't know, 15 minutes checking on him, checking their vitals. And then the ambulance takes him, and I go after my in-laws stay with the kids. Walter was sick. On top of that, he had a fever. Wesley saw him fall with the blood, and he was really freaking out. It was like the scariest time, you guys. It was so scary and terrifying to think that he was having a stroke and he was dying. And then, I mean, at least he came back, but then, like, we didn't know, you know, if he cannot come back forever. And then I'm driving in the car thinking, please, Lord, like, don't let him die on the ambulance. Like, I was thinking, what if I go and then, like, he went to cardiac arrest or something and he died. So they made me wait a little bit. On that time, I'm talking to my parents about it. I'm talking to my family, updating them, and just like praying, you know, praying and just asking God and begging to keep Brandon longer here. Because I was thinking, like, I don't want to have to come back home and tell my kids that their dad is not coming back. It was like just so sad to think about all these things. And when they made me go into the room, and
You're live, right?
No. He's falling asleep?
I don't know. He's really tired. He's like crying noise.
He wants something to eat, probably.
No. He was like hanging on the door, maybe just like, get off the door. He's like, wah! And he's melted up. He's tired.
Sit on the couch with him for a little bit. Why are you coming here? Go upstairs with him.
Really tired. You're gonna come off.
I'm almost done. So I go into the room, and he's like, I bet you guys, I gave you a scare of your life or something like that. And I started bawling and crying. I'm like, I'm sorry. I just thought when he fell and this happened that it was all the stress, because the night before I was crying to him, and I was about to get my period, to be honest. It was like a very, you know, weird time. I was telling him, like, I don't want to go to Argentina. Like, I don't want to have to go, you know, in a way. It's like, I want to stay in the US, but have our own place. Like, I'm just so done with this. And we've been thinking about, like, ways to get out of here so he can, but in a way that he can still study. Like, I don't want him to quit his major and go to work, because that won't be fruitful, you know, like, everything that we've done will be for nothing. So I was saying, like, I don't want to go. And I feel like that added stress, you know, and thinking about for him going to another country, even though it was his idea, but the logistics and everything and the reality of it hits you maybe. And anyway, I started crying, and he's like, no, I'm not stressed. He's telling me, like, why? It's not your fault. And I'm like, it's all my fault, you know, like, I feel like I add stress to him sometimes. And anyway, they ran all the studies. They did an EKG, they did a chest x-ray, a CAT scan, blood work, everything came back normal. And I'm like, okay, but I don't like that answer, doctor. Like, what happened? Why? Oh, and this blood from his nose is because when he fell, he had a cut. He broke his nose, actually, but the doctor didn't need to align it or anything. He had a small fracture. So the blood was coming from the nose. Thankfully, it was that, because I thought, you know, it was nothing worse. And then he chipped a tooth as well. And they're saying that it could have been, it's a syncope. It's called a syncope. I think I'm saying it right. And it happens when you get stressed out. And sometimes a lot of people, men usually, have this phenomenon that when they wake up, they go pee, their blood pressure drops and they pass out. And that happens to a lot of people. And then I remember emailing Wesley's teacher, and she told me about her friend, the same thing that happened to her. And it's a blood pressure drop. And my husband has said that many times he felt very dizzy when going to the restroom after waking up. So hopefully is that we're following up with the doctor. We're having a cardiologist appointment as well to check his heart. But that was seriously like the scariest. I thought my husband was dying. I was like, I'm not ready. And I know it sounds selfish. Sometimes you're like, you're losing your husband. Yeah, but at the same time, I'm the one staying here, and I'm not ready for that, you guys. So yeah, it was like so scary. And I thought the next morning, I'm like, wow, this morning could have been completely different. It could have been us crying, feeling in complete despair for having lost Brandon, and planning a funeral. And his parents were like, you know, also scared. Their son, their oldest son, he's only 38 years old. It was scary, but thankfully, you know, God spared him that time. I don't know how long we'll have him, but, you know, it's like that. We're on borrowed time, and it can happen anytime. I know friends who have lost their husbands. But, you know, I was begging God to, like, at least have me in a more stable place to be able to take care of my family in my sanity. You know, so that's what happened. Story time. He's doing okay. He's kind of feeling a little sick, kind of like a little weak. I don't know if it has anything to do with his fall. You know, the nose hurts. He's sore. But we're following up. And so far we're going to Argentina still. He is a little bit fearful about like that same thing happening there. He's afraid, you know, the responders are not as fast usually as over here. So we want to make sure that the doctor clears him before going. And we'll be curating that box. I'll leave the link down below. I was going to do a separate video for the box, but I don't know if I have that much to say. On recap, it will have 1 or 2 books. You can give me your genre preference, and I'm going to try to find a book on that in English, or you can also choose one in Spanish, which is easier. They have bookstores there that sell book in English, but it's not, you know, the main language. So, and then it's going to have some really fun stuff and good quality stuff. I'm not going to put like keychains or stuff like that, like touristy stuff. I'm going to put high quality things that we consume, like snacks and things that are culturally symbolic. If I do include a keychain, it's going to be an extra or a postcard or something like that. Something I really like. Maybe a fridge magnet, because they make really cute ones. So anyway, that is everything. I'll leave the form down below so you can check it out and sign up if you want. The box is going to be around $50 to $60. I will try to include shipping in there. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me on this video. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you on my next one.